Okay. Hold up. Yo. Okay, let me just get rid of some jazz. So someone might have to let me know if we have any video issues, please, because I'm getting dropped frames, which is weird because I didn't have them yesterday. So let me figure out, because it keeps switching me around now. I'm trying to there we go. Okay. So I think I have the chat, so if anyone wants to ask any questions about the recent update, or why, or how, or what to do, please feel free to leave a comment below. I wish I got a cup of tea before I sat down to do this, but oh well. So yesterday we did this. Today we're going to do it again, and the reason that I'm going to do it again is because I want to be able to nail it, because I want to be able to create some cool crap. So I used to be into 3D modeling. That was something I really enjoyed doing, and I never used Blender. So in the last 6 months, I think 7 months, I started using Blender, because after a few conversations with Yella, the developer of Honor Roll, the potential for custom maps was kind of within the spectrum of being doable. So I thought, well, if it ever happened, I would like to be prepared for it. So the plan being, kind of get prepared for the inevitable installation. So Honor Roll has had a recent update allowing us to create custom maps to play in Honor Roll. What I'm going to do, not on the Z axis, is I'm just going to mock something up now. Let's keep some structure plain. And then I'm going to try and import it into Honor Roll, put some grindable objects in, put some ramps in, see what works, what doesn't work, see if I can create some invisible rails. Because if I can just grind the spline without it being specifically a textural handrail, I'm hoping that I could maybe just essentially put like a windowsill in, a building with a windowsill, and just skate that. Like, it's something that I've got in my hometown. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy skating at home. I would potentially like to can sort of mimic that in Honor Roll. So I'm just going to move it down a bit so I've got my grid. I do enjoy having my grid there. So everything that you will need to do in terms of your level, the actual design work, will take part in your choice of software. So I use Blender. I'm currently now on 2.8. I was on 2.79. I tried doing a few Udemy courses on 2.8, but they were all outdated because we were still in beta. So now that we're in 2.8, I'm going to go through my courses again. I have paid for them. I'm excited to go through them. I've also got an Unreal Engine course and a Unity Engine course, so that I can figure out what else I can do, because the Unity Engine is pretty consistent. I've not had any problems with Unity. It's just been my shitty map design that's held me back. So what I'm going to do, selection to cursor. So this is just going to be my base. What we're just going to add. Why has it just done that? Okay. Cursor to line. So, okay. Just gonna hide that for a minute. So, I don't know, like, I've been making some stuff. I made the donut from Wonder Guru. I've been making a park scene, but not it. I'll open it. Not your typical park scene, but like a park scene. So there's these grassy verges. This has the potential to become grass. I have found some grass models in the on-roll files, so you can use those essentially. We just got this little wonky handrail here. It genuinely is wonky as well, but I made it a bit wonky. So obviously in on a roll you'd have the environment backdrop over here, so it would look a lot better. And then obviously I'm going to retexture all of this to have this as grass. Obviously we'll put in some particles and stuff. I'm still learning about textures, so a lot of what I'll be playing in on a roll right now. You have to remember, we weren't ready and nobody knew it was coming. I spoke to Yella about custom asset bundles because it works in every other early access game that I play, but they're hacks, they're ways around doing it, whereas On a Roll is the very first legitimate early access game that has this ability built into it, so it legitimately lets you make your own custom shit, and you can be as legitimately custom as you want. Like, I can put all textures on all of this, export the models, rebuild it in Unity, play it in On a Roll. A lot of the problems that we have now, and they're not even big issues, like literally I could set up an online repository to have essentially unofficial DLC for On a Roll. You just literally download 2 files, the scene and the assets. So this is the scene, what you visually see here, and the assets are things like so to be specific about things, so one of these vertices is an asset essentially, so the reference points, so your textures, your placement, any models that you put in there, assets, any lights that you add, because you can add extra lights, you can add emission effects, so you can put in your own custom lights. You could build a skyscraper, put windows in and light up all the windows and put your own textures on. Now it does seem like you're sort of building On a Roll, but you're not, because On a Roll will still continue in its development course, albeit slowly. But this allows people like me and many others from the community to continue doing what it is that they're doing, which is filming, making videos and making content. And On a Roll is going nowhere in my world. Like there's not a day goes by that I don't sit and dwindle and dwell on the prospects of On a Roll reaching completion. One way to do that would be to increase sales, and this is not a way of increasing sales. No one's going to make any money of any of the work that gets done, because it's not official work, it's unofficial. We will be managing it, the community. It's not going to be managed by On a Roll. It's just that feature is there should you use it, but because there's quite a few of us who want that feature, who want the feature to be able to add custom content like this. And this is brilliant, actually brilliant. I'm hoping that it doesn't open on. I want to show you something whilst we're live, because it's fucking brilliant. Brilliant, actually brilliant. giant dick pic. So E4I sent me a picture of Shredpool in his current state. I want to show you guys because it's brilliant. Now I did put it online yesterday. I say put it online. I didn't put it online. I showed it midstream, but wait, watch this. What is going on? Okay, there we go. How unbelievably legitimate is that? Well, it's got a little X Games. It's got. This is on a roll, by the way. This is modelled in. This isn't like the old texture system. This is legitimate. He's made a bag. Custom skates, custom bag, bum bag. I cannot fathom it. It's unbelievable. Actually unbelievable. So what I was trying to find was it just got changes. This is funny. So this is my Stoke Plaza effort. But I don't have. What do I have? Oh, because we're in. Okay. So that would be because we are in 2.8 and not 2.79. There used to be a big picture of Stoke Plaza here. This is. One of the other projects that I had going on. But I think if I open this in 2.79, I'll be able to finish it in 7.9. I definitely don't want to say, but I can still run the same tools in Unity to make this work. So if you start a project in 2.79, you can finish it in 7.9. You don't have to make it for 2.8. Should you take this on, you can see where I started marking out the map. Discard changes. A lot of this is crap, I'm not gonna lie. This was one. Oh, I literally just made it for testing purposes. What I'm trying to find is I've still got, but unfortunately it's not, because in 2.8 we don't have the backgrounds, we have images as planes, so I'd have to redo it all. However, for today, we're just going to make something fairly straightforward. My Blender skills are not great. Cursor to selected. This may become something a bit better than that, but we shall see. So we got a pavement, we got get rid of them. And then that should line up better. So it's actually fairly straightforward. No, okay, that could work actually. So yeah, that was a long way of doing that. So we got a little road. Some sides. We could make something scalable here easily. We could just cut into this window and make something. We could just put a nice long rail here just to test the actual grinding physics. What I'm tempted to do though is shade that smooth and then why are they not beveling? Okay, so it does not want to work. Well, that's okay. This is my point. I'm still learning Blender myself. I really know very little about it as a process. However, what I am going to do. So I've recently learned how to constrain things to their axes using the middle mouse button instead, and it's actually quite a quick process as well, because you can just grab stuff and you know you're still on the same axis that you need it to be. So I'm thinking something here. And now in 2.8 as well, we've got this new Eevee system. So I can still run with cycles. But Eevee gives me the same sort of impression. Look, if you look between the difference between Eevee and cycles, it's quite nice. And Eevee gives me a really good idea of the kind of lighting already from the scene. However, what I want to do is streetlights. I'm just concerned because I really want to make a night map in On a Roll. Really want to make a night map. But in order to do so, I need to somehow alter the game's light settings. Maybe I can do it in a Unity level map, maybe? I'll have a look. That's a good shout, Eric. Good shout. Worth noting. As we're compiling the level, we might be able to adjust some of the things. We'll see. So I want to sort of set the scene a little bit before I do anything. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to import something first. So I've got some OBJs already that I've extracted from On a Roll. So I have my modding folder. Some OBJs. Here's some that I've already set aside. Some character models. Some. Does it show me the default? Oh, see, it doesn't show me any of the. That's okay. That's okay. We can go in here. So what I'm looking for is light posts. That might sound weird. Like we've got some stuff already. you'll see I've got a 3D on a roll sign, garbage bin, who knows, basketball ring, cause well, why not? The tennis nets that Yella installed for me, they're definitely getting used. I may even just import them and just use them as let's have a look, see if that works, because that would be a quick solution, wouldn't it? Now I am going to build a rail and show you how I, oh my god, now would be a good time to save what I have. So let's import. Nope. File import wavefront OBJ. Where was it? Oh, it was in random, wasn't it? Now, it's going to have messed up. Watch this. If I press the period key, it's here. So the first thing I need to do is set the origin to the geometry of it. There we go. And then I can select a selection to cursor, and that'll go back to where my cursor is. You'll also notice it's off to one axis. So, not perfect. It's still going to be a little bit off, I believe. But this is just an element from on a roll. So the first thing I'm going to do okay. So we're going to scale it down. Just pop it there for the minute. We're also going to import my man. So he will give me some perspective. So it might be a bit of a high rail, but we can adjust it. I'm really not having much luck here, guys. Right, so that's the front of the building. That's the curb. So now that we've got that actually built, I'd be interested to see if this is skatable. What I'm going to do is add an array modifier. Oh, see, it's going to... Okay, so it's the constant one that we've got. Okay. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. So currently there's no textures on any of this. That's okay. Not ideal. Scale along the x-axis. That was optimistic. Like, they've made 2.8 so much quicker to use, so much easier to use. So you really can't grumble at it. So what I need to do though is I want to add some kind of structure to this so that I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to select this road here. I'm going to separate it. So this is now a road. I don't think I have any road textures. And even if I can find one, there's no guarantee that I can do it properly. Sure. Let me just, I've got one. I'm just going to save it. Right, so how do we do this? Textures. So this road, I have a texture to go hopefully along it. I have to unwrap it, but as it's only one plane, I'm hoping it should unwrap normally. One would hope anyway. So a couple of things that we need before we add a texture. One, a shader editor. And we need to give it one. Here we go. So, don't currently have any that are of use, so we're going to create one. Just going to call it road. Boom. So I want the diffuse, but I also want a slightly glossy vibe to it. So we have the diffuse BSDF here, which will not move. Okay. And the material output. This is, let me switch to rendered. So you can see now, if we give it a slightly different color, you can see it's lit up. We're just going to change the light in the scene so it's a bit brighter. Ugh. Okay, firstly, let's get rid of that one because that's of no use. Now, when we come into this, we want a texture. We also want it to have a slightly glossy vibe to it. Okay. So we've got the BSDF from the diffuse. We need to add another. We need to add the glossy shader. We need to mix these two. So we need to add a mix shader. Like so. Like so. And that allows us to change the shine of it. But we also need to add a image texture. Where did I save it? Desktop. No. Where did I save it? Seamless Road. And then that will replace the color. So what I actually need to do is unwrap it. Then we can check the UV. So, there we go. We have a road. For tiny cars, I might add, but we can adjust that. We can adjust that. So from here, I can change the roughness and the shine to them. Because obviously that's too much, yeah? I think that looks alright. I think that looks alright. However, the scaling of it is not alright. So unfortunately, annoyingly, that's not quite worked out as well as I would like. That might do it a bit better. So this is all my day consists of, to be fair. It's a bit more respectable as well, isn't it? You know, and I can function with that. I messed that up. Let me get rid of some of these windows now. What the shit? Okay, fine. We'll do it the other way. So it doesn't take much to put something in. And get it looking meh. Do you know what I mean? It's not great, but it's enough to run some tests, which is key here. So what I want to try and find is this, which is the rail for the tennis nets. Now I want to see, bearing in mind this is all new to me as well. I'm going to join. Oh my god. So this has already been unwrapped because it's already been a part of on a roll. And if I go so far as to say give that a texture, we'll make that the diffused as well. And then if we go into the UV, the shader, will have sort of the same principle again. So we've already added the texture of the road. I know it looks like shit, but that's okay. So we need another shader on the glossy shader. I want the mix shader. And image texture. What's this actually called? Oh, it's in textures. Tennis net rail. Nice, okay. That's easy. So it's brought it in. If I go to my UV and tab in, you can see this is the UV map and this is the texture for the rail. So I've already got matching textures for the objects within on a roll. So now I can just do that and that. So this one we're going to give him the nets. Not the road. But once you've got your materials though, you can quickly whiz through something. I've got these pavements. I've got a couple of concrete textures. So we're just going to give it one. We'll keep it glossy, we'll keep things consistent. We can adjust them as we go through. So we've got the concrete. Now what we need. So it's kind of unwrapped it. Let's unwrap project from view back. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe now. Is it perfect? By no means. So it's just a lot of twiddling your thumbs. Okay. Bit better. Now I know that these have nothing on them, but that's okay. What we're gonna do is just test these rails. Just gonna put a little man over there. And here, my 3D cursor is, I'm going to add an empty. So let's have a look at our outliner now. So that's my spawn point. I create it here because it's the same as creating it in Unity. My organizational skills aren't great. However, so if you want to make something grindable, keep it as a separate object. Like anything, if you want anything to be grindable, if you want a trash can to be grindable, or a wheelie bin, keep it as a separate object in your scene. And then when you import into Unity, you'll be able to see the separate objects and then add scripts to the separate objects. But say I have all 6 of these rails as a group, or even combine them as one unit for the sake of simplicity, I can't really recommend it, because at the moment I'm still trying to figure out the grind system. I don't know if I could just add grinds wherever I want. I don't know if it has to have an object to select. I also don't know if I could have, because you have to select an object to make it grindable. It has to have there's a parent object. If the parent object is these 6, can I then put 6 different grind splines in that one object? Or do I have to have 6 objects and 6 grinds? I'm unsure yet. But for the moment, we're going to keep it as one, quite literally. I'm going to save it, and that's it for the minute. I'm going to get rid of a couple of things though. We don't need the default cameras, we don't need the default light, we don't need anything but the geometry. So I'm going to save it one more time. Now I'm going to open up Unity now, because I want to play. So you need a special bear with me 1 second. You will need a special version of Unity, the Unity version that Honor Roll currently uses. So given that in mind, there's a couple of things you will need. Now that you've updated on roll, or I hope you have, you'll find this folder in your C drive, or your boot drive, your Steam installation folder, which is the customization folder. So I'm just going to delete that for the purpose of this. This is an installation setup. Worth reading. In here you'll find the version that you need of Unity to get your map into the game. 2017.4. If you click this, it will take you to it. So you'll need to start with an existing Unity project which Yellow has set up. So that project is this here. So if you've got a 7-zip maybe, WinRAR, anything else you want, any kind of archive extraction software, open this up, drag out the custom map like that. This folder contains all of the scripts and data we need to be able to import our own model into Unity. So you can leave that where it is if you want to. You could move it to the desktop, which is what I'm going to do for the purpose of this. So you're moving it from your disk drive, C, customization 4, just to the desktop. Now I highly recommend keeping this open at all times and just reading through it, because it does cover a lot of what I'm going to go through about how to set the surfaces of the objects, how to make them grindable. There's a couple of things that I've yet to figure out because we don't go over them in the inspection of this. The is stairs, but I imagine it works sort of similar to the way that we're going to set up everything else. So we'll get into Unity and then we'll have a look at some of the stuff that Yellow has installed. So once I've got Unity open, remember 2017.4, we're just going to select this folder, which is the one I've just copied to the desktop. Select that and select the folder. So it's going to open that complete Unity project. So this is what Yellow has been creating. So the stuff we've just been doing in Blender, that's on you to do. If you want to create a map, you know, I've shown you it's not hard. You just need to put in a couple of hours here and there just to learn how to use Blender. But you can use 3ds Max, Maya, you know, whatever you should choose. So let it open. So welcome to Unity. You'll see up here your regular tabs, just like you would do any application, except for this one here, the On a Roll tab. So when you're reading through this and it's talking about the menu, On a Roll, skatable surface setup, that's here. So this will allow you to select objects of certain types. Launch ramps, so a ramp that you could jump over, a ramp, so a quarter pipe. Yes, I think so. And then other is anything you want to roll on, so walls, floors, ceilings, doors, bins, anything you want. Anything that you want to be able to skate on or roll across in some form. Other. You've also got grind set up in here. So, this is cool. This is fucking amazing. Grind setup 2. It doesn't say tool there, but that is what the deal is. So we can set up rails. Now, we don't need to do anything in here. This is all to just reference what we create. We are going to have to create and set up stuff to grind. It's not automatic. It's automatic for on a roll for Yellow's end, but it's a lot easier for him to do it his end because he's doing the development of it. For us to just install custom assets, we only need to be able to reference the tools that are in the game. So referencing the grind system, referencing the air system. But it's actually a lot simpler than that. This just allows us to set up the grind system. So grind obstacle is a rail. So if you've got a rail in the game, you can select it as a rail. The ground obstacle is a coping. So I think for this, you set up a quarter pipe, then you set up a coping for the quarter pipe, and then it's the coping that you set up the grind spline on, not the ramp itself. So if you're going to build any quarter pipes and copings, you need to keep your coping separate to your quarter pipe. Worth noting. And then spine copings will let you go over the other side of them, I believe. Makes sense? So you set them up, you can check the direction of travel on bowls and things like that. So if you've got a complete looping coping, you have to select the points where you would continue your grind, the travelling direction, and you would obviously want to make sure that you could keep going round, so you can check the direction of that, invert it, and you can finalize the single object. Update all means that if you've set up your obstacle with a rail, the grind points, etc., etc., which I hope will make more sense in a moment, and you move it, for example, as a group, you move those objects, you keep the references but you move them. Update all will update the references for the game in terms of where those are. So you do have to update it if you move stuff around. But we'll start using that. But it's actually a doddle. So down here, some of the prefabs that are part of this. So there is the default scene here, custom demo level. We're actually going to create a new scene, or at least save our scene as the. I'll show you. So you've got some materials, coping materials. You can use these. There's a wooden ramp, a transparent material. I think that's for the points. Anyway, and a wooden ramp material. But we can bring in our own materials and reference all of those. We've also got some models here. Quarter pipe. Spine coping. You'll see that the way that the grind system works is points. So point A to point B. You've also got some spines and the materials for those. What we need to do, under models, I'm going to import a new asset. That asset is going to be live.blend, because that's what we've just been working on in Blender. Oh, maybe not. Save as. Could not convert the .blend file to FBX file. It's not supposed to be an FBX file. Maybe it's because it's in my OneDrive. Let's try again. Maybe not. That's weird that it's not working. So I usually use .blend. So I'm not sure why it's not working, but that's okay. We can export it as a .fbx. Absolutely fine either way. Normally that works. I'm not sure why it isn't, to be fair. So that's our current scene. Now, one thing I've not got a lot of experience with is how to set up the scene in Unity. So what we do need to do is import some assets. So we need the highway road. And then the nets. There we go. So this should allow me, I think, to drag in the textures that we've made. You see? And they're already baked UVs, so it remembers where we had them. What's the texture on that? So that's just my basic scene setup. I've dragged in my object, my model, and then all of the textures for said model, and then pulled them in. So what I am going to do, for the sake of simplicity, is also delete other models that I'm not using. So under textures, there's also quite a few textures in here. And some asset bundles, and we're going to talk about those now. But we've got a scene here, so what we need to do is we need to save the scene as live. So now we've got our scene, which is this. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to delete the default camera, delete the default light, save my scene. So there's a couple of things that we absolutely must have. One is this. This is the spawn point. To add a spawn point, create empty. So you select your package here, yeah, right click, create empty, and then name it spawn point. Place it wherever you want, within reason. I think just above the ground is ideal. Keep saving your work. So what we actually need to do now is make shit grindable, right? So where's my spawn point? There. So we're going to just test it on one rail for the moment, just to make sure it's working on one rail. So how do I make this grindable? So we have to reference something. If you come up here in your inspector, you can see layers. We're on the default layer right now. We don't want to be that. If you click it, you can see all of the different things we can do. So we can choose water. We can create water for our maps. We can create a user interface element. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I'm hoping it's a press X to do this. So if we can create interface elements as well, we can have elevators and things like that. So that's going to be cool. We've got the grind mask. That's where we're going to be, but we don't select it here. You can select some of them here, but we've got a level mask. The level mask is what we're going to use on the floor, and that depicts rollable terrain. Terrain masks, obviously going to slow you down. A stair mask. Now I'm not sure how to use the stair mask. I will message Yella. Environment set, possibly set the environment. The 3D sky layer. So these are different layers you can get access to. I'm still learning how to do it. You've got the work in progress layer, if anyone remembers the work in progress layer. However, that's not what we're going to do. So once we've got what we want to grind selected, for instance this handrail here, there's a couple of ways to do this. You can create an empty, which I'll show you one way of doing it. So I've created an empty on this tennis net here. Yeah? Ugh. Now one way to do this would be this. Oh. So I've created my empty. I'm going to put my empty at the start of the rail. You can probably see where I'm going with this, to be fair. So we've got an empty. It's not quite perfect. And then we would basically rename that 0.0. Now we don't have to do all of the stuff that it's going to ask us for. The game's not looking for 0.0 straight away, it's looking for something else first. But that's okay because we don't need to worry about that. We need to duplicate it. 0.1. Okay. Then I'm going to move that over. So there we've got 0.0 and 0.1, and they're attached to this tennis rail. Okay, we're following? So now all we need to do is select the rail, go to your on a roll tab and go to grind setup. So all this is going to do is it's going to put it in the right layer and give it some settings. So we can set up the rail. Boom! Straight away that's worked nice. So we've got 0 and 1. You can see where they are. And that's a separate rail that's now ready. So grind obstacle is a rail. I click finalize. And then this is what's done. So we've got one tennis net. We've got the grind points. 0 and 1. We've got the collider, and then we've got a rail side collider. So it shows you all of the elements that you've created for your rail. Yeah? Looks good. And then click finalize. Check. Now what I'm going to do is I can do this quickly. So for the ground that I'm rolling on, I'm just going to click layer, level mask, and then you can add a component, physics, mesh collider. So that's one way of doing that. Remove component. Put it back on the default. The other way of doing this is on a roll, skatable surface setup, set up surfaces. So now it's already added the mesh collider that we were about to add, but it also adds a script. So that script, if you do it this way, gives you access to this, which is the sounds in on a roll. So you can select the sound of whatever it is you're rolling on: wood, grass, dirt. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to leave that on concrete. We've already got the colour. We're nice. The road, the same again. Set up ground rollable surface. Change it to an asphalt sound. So that's the sound of it. Now you're going to get different frictions as well. However, in here, this tennis net, we've got sounds, literal sounds for the rails as well. We're going to give that a rough rail sound. Make sure you're saving your scene. So now we've got one grindable rail, rollable surfaces. I'm just going to put this onto so you can do 2 at a time if you want to. Material, none, it's a physics material. I'm pretty happy with concrete. So, now that we've done it, we've actually made a map for on a roll. We've got a spawn point. We've got one grindable rail. We need to check the position of that grindable rail. And everything is rollable. So what do we do now? So, the first thing you're going to do is you need to set up the export. So, in Unity, now that I've got my scene, we need to sort the scene. So here, live, you need to create an asset bundle. So I'm actually just going to keep it the same, but you can create a new one. You just got to be. We'll create a new one for the sake of it. So I'm actually going to delete that scene. We don't need that scene. And we're going to create a new one, new scene. So this is called live underscore scene. Okay, so that's our scene. And then all of the assets, all of our cubes, our grind points, etc., etc., they're all blooming heck, going to go into not the scene, but the assets of live scene. So live underscore assets. We've saved it. Now, on a roll, build custom map window, build custom map. Gagging for a drink now, guys. Keen to see if it's worked. I am getting pretty good at getting it to work first try, I'm not gonna lie, guys. So yeah, there's some stuff that it might throw up a warning about, but I'm still trial and error this. So your asset bundle that you've exported will be here. You can find it all in here. I'm going to show it in my Explorer. And I'm going to find live underscore scene, live underscore assets. They're not big files, which leads me to think that maybe it hasn't worked. Let's try it again. Yeah, still trial and error to be fair, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Um, yeah. Okay, so we're getting there. There are only certain elements you need. Just gonna build a custom map. Make sure that. Okay. So that seems to have done it that time. Live assets, live scene. Now, your custom maps are back here in the usual place. Let's launch on a roll. So to be fair, that took a little while to get done, but everything should be functional, all being well. So we've only got one grindable rail, but that technique just transfers over from one rail to the next to the next. So custom map, there's ours. Excuse me. So we're in. So one thing you'll have noticed straight away is the position of the rail. But that's okay, because watch this. Just in Unity alone, so it's updated the ground curve for that. I'm going to build the custom map again. Replace the files in the destination. Hoping that this works, because it's just referencing the asset bundle on the fly. And with a bit of luck, we'll be able to quickly now. I think I've realised why it's not working. And that would be because of the placement of these. So what we're actually going to do is delete it. Remove the components. Save it. I'm going to show you the other way of doing it. In here, the prefabs. So we've got some prefabricated stuff. One of them is a grind point. So it's a little circle, a little dot, I guess, a little green dot. And it seems a little bit more manageable. Because it's a little green dot. So that's 0.0. We're actually going to put that into that net. So again, I'm still learning the grind system in terms of where to place them, how to place them. It's a bit fiddly, to say the least. But it seems to put me in a better place when I do it like this. Because they're actual points then. So I'm going to try and select just a rail again, on a roll, grind setup. Okay. Finalize. Save it. So I'm just going to copy them back over, replacing the last ones we had. And give it another go. Console wise, is the game dead and is your money wasted? No, not by any means. Yellow is still alive. Yellow's working full time on another game to make ends meet. Unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case, and I wish we could work on a roll full time, but I have literally no part to play in terms of where the game goes now. Not that I ever did, by any means. So that's better. It's still not transparent though. But progress is progress. So from here you can literally click grind points and then adjust them. I'm going to move them up slightly. So I'm not entirely sure what Yellow's plans are right now. Obviously he wants to continue development. Do you know what I mean? He's been building this alone. This was something that I wanted. This sounds horrific, and I don't mean for it to be sounding selfish, but every other sports game so far, Pipe, Skater XL, Snow, the snowboard game, they all have the ability to kind of tweak stuff, I guess. So the way that Honor Roll was built is it's built in the same sort of similar way as the rest of them, but it's not an easy process to get this kind of stuff into Honor Roll. Like, if you wanted to create anything you wanted, that's a lot of the problems that I'm having at the moment, is just whilst the game is still having its final tweaks, like, people think that the game has stopped development, and environmentally, yeah, of course it has. It hasn't changed for ages, but there's so much stuff to get in there and tweak that it's just it to get it onto console now is going to take time. That's all it's going to take, time and patience, but also work from Yellow's got a lot of work to do, and that's fine. I do get that. I don't feel like I've wasted money at all. I feel like I've had a very informed part to play in its development. The Honor Roll stuff is wicked. I'm obviously in my new house now, so I can stream all the time. So I'm hoping to get the game out there more. I'm hoping that the idea of modded maps brings people in as well, because you really can just literally, you could have, if we had hundreds of custom maps, you could store hundreds of custom maps and play them in Honor Roll, using the features that we've already got, which is the primary concern for most people who are currently playing the game. It's not because it's not on console. I get that, it's not on console, but it's just that whilst Yellow's been focusing on getting the spins right and the grinds right and the fluidity in the animations, and trying to fix the flip system, that the world hasn't seen much. The problem with that is not what you think either. The problem with that is when it comes to like making content for the modding community and the Honor Roll stuff, that we haven't got anything new to skate, but in the better part of an hour and 30 minutes, I've made a little street scene. It looks like shit, I get that. I'm rushing, I'm not bothered, I'm just trying to go over the features over and over and over again so that I can start using it more. And I can start making my own quick street spots, my own 1 minute, one spot, kind of one hit wonders, to essentially make videos for the Instagram. Let me double check that everything has worked out. Just going to launch Honor Roll one more time. I'm starving as well. Absolutely famished. So we'll see how we get on. So that's basically the gist of it. You just bring in your own objects, you can colour them, create your own textures, blah blah blah. set up your scene in Unity, because that's all you're doing is creating a full scene. You create a full scene with all the objects and textures and everything that you could possibly want in there, including lights, physics objects. You could have basketballs bouncing all over the place whilst you're still playing. You can do whatever you want. And if anything, that may just help to keep the community busy whilst, you know, we all push out more content and Yella can put more time in. So it's just trial and error right now. Again, I'm just trying to figure out how to set up the grinds in terms of the placement. There's not much in the way of so it's fairly straightforward, to be fair, in terms of getting stuff in, getting it working, getting it rollable. We just need to get some. I need to get some practice in with setting up the grinds. That's quite literally all I've got left to do. That and start creating some content. Now, one thing I wanted to do was to rebuild my old skate park. So one of the skate parks in Buxton, this one and the other one, were modelled in SketchUp. This is a mesh fence, some handrails. Now I could, in theory, just bring this straight into Unity now and start adding scripts to it and start making it grindable. But I wanted to rebuild it, mostly because with it coming from SketchUp, okay, no, it seems to have handled it a bit better. There was a lot of unnecessary triangles. It seems to have adjusted it. That might not be a bad thing. Maybe we could rebuild it from this. Maybe we could actually rebuild it from this. We'd have to make some adjustments to the quarter pipes and stuff, but I reckon this is what we're going to do today, is just rebuild this, and we can adjust all these grind boxes and bring in different objects. But this is my old skate park from like my youth, man, like to scale. I really want to be able to play it in on a roll. I've got all the textures for it, everything. So I think that's what I'm going to do today, is rebuild this park and put it in on a roll. It might seem like a shitty little park, but I've had many a good year at this skate park. Many a good year. Be interesting to see if it actually works. However, guys, I'm going to call it for now. I won't be long. I'm going to get some food in me, and then I will return to streaming the rebuild of Buxton Skate Park for On a Roll. Peace, guys.